中島さんは今何をおっしゃいと言いますか。あなた遅いです。
Our next film is X-Men Days of Future Past. Once again we see another Wolverine film. This is beautiful. I love the Wolverine character, and yeah, it's because he's Canadian and plus he's from the Arctic, in roughly the same region as I was. This is so well made. I mean, it's well written, well documented. That my two favorite pieces are in this film, where they turn the pages, the sound of the page turning of the comic book at the beginning of the film. It's very, very light, just below the music level, but it's there, and it's like a icing on the cake type of thing. It's to hear those pages turning and see the comic book pages turning. It's the origins of where this material came from. It's like Marvel's signature. It's so cool to hear this at the beginning of the movie. So what is the X-Men about? This movie is based upon two comic books sequences that were written in, I believe, 1981. And it's the end of the mutants. It's about their destruction. They're being hunted by a machine known as the Sentinels, and these ones are extremely more advanced than the originals. And they're killing them off one by one, until there's just a handful of the very best and the very strongest mutants left, the survivors. And they're about to take them out as well. But the Sentinels had also possibly decided on their own to also destroy and kill human beings that had the gene that made it possible for mutants to be born. So we see the Sentinels turning on not only the mutants but the humans as well, or some of the humans. So Xavier and Magneto get together and they decide to send Wolverine's essence, or his spirit, or his consciousness, whatever you want to call it, back in time to 1973 during the Nixon administration to stop Raven from killing the inventor of the Sentinels in order to prevent them from being administered as a government policy to control mutants, which is what happened. And plus they had captured her during her assassination attempt, dissected her body, and used that to help change the Sentinels into a more deadlier machine. So that was Wolverine's mission, and they sent him back, and it's just magnificent. And one of Wolverine's friends that he contacts, because they have to get Magneto out of a prison in the middle of the Pentagon where he's being kept for killing President Kennedy, who he claimed he was saving because President Kennedy was apparently a mutant, which actually works well in the story from the perspective of a Canadian. American critics didn't like it. Maybe there's this continuation of the Kennedy family being the royal family of America or United States, and we just don't feel the same way up here in Canada. But it worked quite well. And one of the characters, a man by the name of Quicksilver, who is one of Wolverine's friends, Wolverine recruited him for the mission of helping them get Magneto out of the Pentagon prison where he was being held. Now Quicksilver, oh my God, this character is absolutely magnificent. He had the right, Quicksilver was the type of guy that you want to hang out with. He had all these cool Quicksilver had the ability, his mutant ability was to be able to speed up his atomic energy signature, for lack of a better word, keeping it simple, so that he was in a totally different time and space as compared to the other people or mutants or situations around him, and he could walk around and change things at will, and he was the type of character in this film that was having a good time all the time, and these quirks of his, and his friendliness, and his love of adventure and fun, and he was just a magnificent character. And I'm hoping that they will decide to use Quicksilver in some future films. But Wolverine was acting as a bodyguard for, well, sleeping with the boss's wife when his spirit essence went back in time and entered into his new body, which allowed him to remember everything in the future. But there was one point where he actually went ahead in time, and the body from the time 1973 suddenly found itself in complete unfamiliar territory, and Grant didn't know who he was or where he was. Still had the bone claws, although he had the anti-antim claws in the future, but in the past he has the bone claws, so he wasn't taken by Stryker to be turned into a metal man. And in fact they play upon this as a joke during a presidential meeting where Wolverine walks through a metal detector fully expecting it to go off, and then realizing after he'd gone through that, hey, wait a minute, that hasn't happened to me yet. And he didn't have the metal skeleton, it was just an ordinary skeleton. But he still had his ability to smells like a wolf, or heightened smell, heightened hearing, and a healing factor. That was all there. But anyway, they get Magneto out. Magneto has his own mission to stop the humans, period, by killing Raven and not allowing her to fall into their own hands. Magneto, he thought he would think up a plan and he would fulfill it on his own without the help of the X-Men, which he tried to do and failed. He ended up wounding Raven. Her blood, drops of her blood ended up in the hands of Nash, who was inventing the Sentinels, but he also needed her brain and other tissues, which he didn't get. They end up stopping her and switching her mind, so that the Sentinels did eventually disappear just as they were about to kill Professor Xavier and Wolverine. There is this constant rivalry that takes place in the past between Magneto and Professor Xavier losing Raven. Like, there's this conflict between Raven was Professor Xavier's best female friend, not a girlfriend, and Magneto took her away from Xavier. There's this conflict, that running conflict that goes through. Xavier in 73 is not crippled because he's got a serum that Beast made for him, and he takes the serum and he can walk. His spinal fracture is healed, but he loses his he becomes more human and totally human, and loses his mental abilities entirely. So in the end he just had to make a choice to go back into the wheelchair and keep his mental abilities to help other mutants, or just forget about ever being a mutant ever again. And he makes the choice to go back into the chair. The interesting part is Wolverine's thrown into, by Magneto, pins him with metal rods, throws him into the lake to drown him, doesn't drown him, because Wolverine went into his body, having the healing ability, shut his whole system down and put it into hibernation. Eventually he gets taken out of there, and supposedly Stryker takes him to a camp to change him into a metal, with a metal skeleton, adamantium claws and metal skeleton. But Raven intervenes by becoming Stryker and taking Wolverine for herself and sneaking him out of the camp. Now that changes the entire storyline of the future, but only maybe, because you don't know what happens after that. Maybe Wolverine gets recaptured and the metal skeleton does go ahead, but you don't know that anyway. But we'll see in the next adventures of the X-Men. Wolverine does go back into the future. He is in the school acting as teacher of history. He doesn't realize that that's what he's doing now. Does he have the bone claws because of his Japan incident? We don't know. Does he have the adamantium claws? We still don't know. But it's a really cool story. Jean is brought back to life, so obviously she didn't die. And her boyfriend Cyclops is there. He's not dead in the future, so he didn't die. The whole system changes, like the butterfly effect. You changed something in the past, the future changes. I doubt if that actually would happen if you went back, because I think that time and space, according to what I've seen in science, it stays the same, because the past and the future happen exactly the same time, that we're actually riding a timeline. But that's getting into something more complicated. But that is the story, basic storyline. But Quicksilver, magnificent character. Hope we get to see him again. This is it's very dark at the beginning of this film. The robotic sentinels are incredibly well done at CGI. Just incredibly well done, and the battle scenes are magnificent, and the set is magnificent. Wolverine is just outstanding. It is so good to see him in this film. Oh my God, this is the perfect movie. It's so well written, so well directed. Acting is great. You can tell these people are all having a great time here. I really recommend this movie. You'll love it very much. Just go and enjoy yourself and have a good time. And don't forget, you have to stay to the ending of the movie, the very end, if you want to see the beginning of the Avengers. Here we see the first mutant, Apocalypse. He's at the they show him at the end of this movie. That's something you want to check out. He originated back in the Egyptian times, and apparently became a pharaoh, and built his own pyramids, by the way. So anyway, enjoy it, check it out, enjoy it.